Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Sportsified. I'm your host, Andrew, along with my co-host, Braylon.
Today, we are going to be doing a catch-up on some of the biggest news this week that we couldn't put on our website, as well as an in-depth look at the draft.
That's right. For the main segment, we'll be grading each NFL team for their overall draft performance, followed by a special trivia segment at the end.
Let's get started.
Sportsified.
Let's catch up on all the biggest news from this past week, minus the NFL draft, as we'll discuss that in depth later.
So, first up, Braylon, we have offensive tackle Laremy Tunsil, who signed a record extension with the Texans this week for 3 years at $66 million. That's big bucks. The highest annual salary for an offensive lineman, $22 million a year.
Yeah, that is a lot of money for a lineman. Next up, in a shocking twist of events, Rob Gronkowski has come back from retirement to join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and his 9-year teammate Tom Brady. The big tight end had to be traded though, as he was still on contract with the Patriots. The Patriots received a 4th-round pick in this year's draft, while the Buccaneers got Rob Gronkowski and a 7th-round pick.
That 7th-round pick? Well, that turned into Temple linebacker Chappelle Russell, who has a chance to make the Tampa Bay roster as a special teams player. 4th-round pick the Patriots received was ultimately packaged together in the draft to receive the 91st overall pick, which they used to draft UCLA tight end Devin Aussie, who will compete for New England's starting tight end job left open by the departure of Gronk.
Now, Washington Redskins traded star left tackle Trent Williams to the San Francisco 49ers for a 2020 5th-round pick and 2021 3rd-rounder. With that 5th-rounder in the NFL draft, Washington drafted center Keith Ishmael out of San Diego State.
And finally, in basketball news, high school All-American selection Greg Brown III announced that he will play for Texas Longhorns. Texas secured the 5 stars commitment over Kentucky, Auburn, Memphis, and Michigan, so some pretty good schools. This 6'8" forward averaged 26.1 points, 13.2 rebounds, and if that's not enough, he also averaged 3.5 blocks per game as a senior last year.
That is a lot of blocks.
Now, for the main segment of today's show, grading the NFL draft. To help, we've brought in a special guest, our friend Drew. First up, we have the Cardinals. So what do you guys think?
Well, the first thing I noticed is that they snagged offensive tackle Josh Jones from Houston in the 3rd round. The only reason they got him there is because the offensive line class was so deep this year. I think he's a 2nd-round talent at least.
And their 1st-round pick was Isaiah Simmons.
I also like their selection of Eno Benjamin, the running back out of Arizona State, in the 7th round. That's pretty good value for a pick in the 7th round, and I think he could contribute behind Kenyon Drake in their running back position.
That is true. In fact, the only need they didn't address, according to ESPN, is the wide receiver. Alright, let's move on to the Falcons. Sorry, Drew, is there something you wanted to say?
No, it's fine. Never mind.
With the Falcons, their 1st-round pick was AJ Terrell out of Clemson. He was probably the 3rd best cornerback in this draft class, but it was a pretty deep cornerback class. He was, I think the Falcons' target was CJ Henderson. They wanted to get here, but he got taken earlier, so did Jeffrey Okudah, the top corner in the class. So AJ Terrell's their pick here, but that's not bad.
I'm looking at their 2nd-round pick, right in the middle with Marlon Davidson from Auburn, defensive tackle. And he's just a big dude. He is built for his position, and he's ready to lay the lumber down on some opposing teams. So I'm liking that pick, but outside of that, not so hot.
Laying down the lumber.
They only covered 2 of their five needs.
Yeah, I think the Falcons general manager could have done a better job in this draft class. Next up, the Ravens, who had 10 picks in this draft. That strikes me as impressive because, as we all know, they're a playoff team, one of the best in the league, behind Lamar Jackson. So having 10 picks is going to make them even better.
So one thing that sticks out to me right away is that they picked 2 wide receivers, or obviously meant to be weapons for Lamar Jackson, in the 3rd and 6th rounds.
And along with those weapons of wide receivers, they picked up one of the Heisman candidates for college, J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State, who will be possibly Lamar Jackson's best friend next season with that talented of a player right next to him.
Yeah, I thought he really had a chance for the Heisman last year in college.
I did too.
Alright, the Buffalo Bills.
Alright. So the Bills didn't have a pick until the 2nd round. That doesn't mean they missed out.
They did not miss out, because out of Iowa, they got the defensive end A.J. Espinoza. Oh, sorry, not Espinoza. Epineza. ESPN says, he's a big defensive end with the frame and strength to set the edge. He has marginal top-end speed and doesn't project as an elite pass rusher. Oh, that actually lowered my opinion of him right there reading that. But honestly, I think he could provide more value than most people expect.
I'm looking at, along with Baltimore, they took 2 wide receivers. One in the 4th round, one in the 6th round, which that does not mean that they're going to be bad, but I'm just seeing that they're lining their offense slightly as well.
Yeah, I like Gabriel Davis.
I do too. They also picked up Jake Fromm in the 5th round.
That's interesting, but I think they just want him to develop behind Josh Allen, and hopefully if anything goes wrong with him, or he doesn't want to re-sign with them when his contract is up, they're hoping Jake Fromm can step in.
Okay, the Panthers.
They have such an explosive offense. It made sense to go defense with their first 3 picks. They drafted Derek Brown, Yeturgos Matos, and Jeremy Chin. Those are all very good players on defense.
In fact, they didn't just go defense for the first 3 picks. They went defense for all of their picks.
Oh yes, they're the only team in the modern draft era to go all defense. Which honestly, that's what they needed to do because, to be honest, their offense is so much better than their defense. Christian McCaffrey signed a big extension this offseason.
Alright. Bears.
Their first pick was the 11th pick in the 2nd round, and it says that pick is from the Raiders. Was that in the Khalil Mack trade?
Yes.
Alright, so they got the tight end Cole Kmet from Notre Dame with that pick. And he is the top tight end in this draft class, but it's kind of, I don't know, there's 2 ways we could go with this. One, they didn't need one because they signed Jimmy Graham to a cheer deal this offseason, but also Jimmy Graham is aging, so they might need someone to learn under him and then step in when his contract's over.
And we know the Bears' offense isn't spectacular, and it's not. Their defense is what brought them even to the end of the season, so they needed to pick up a good tight end like Cole Kmet there.
And they did a decent job at drafting to their needs, but also you have to just draft best player available sometimes.
Yep.
The names farther down are too recognizable as they had 3 5th-round picks, 2 7th-round picks, and only 2 2nd-round picks. But with their other 2nd-round pick, they got the cornerback Jalen Johnson from Utah, and I think he's going to be pretty good with his cornerback depth. Now up, the Cincinnati Bengals, who according to ESPN filled all of their needs. That is pretty impressive.
They also had the first pick in every round.
Yeah, and we all know what they did with that first overall pick. Joe Burrow. And they also got T. Higgins with their next pick, and I think that is going to be an explosive duo right there. Defenses should be concerned.
They definitely need all the help they can get after going 2-14 last season.
For sure.
Finishing 4th in the AFC North.
And of course, everyone likes the Joe Burrow first round #1 pick. Possibly best player in the draft, maybe just behind Isaiah Simmons, but we're looking at the Heisman Trophy winner and National Championship winner at quarterback, so I think their offense might take a jump from last season for sure.
Alright, this is slightly off topic, but I gotta disagree with you saying Isaiah Simmons might be the best player in the draft. It is Chase Young. All right, next up, the Cleveland Browns. 10th overall pick in the draft.
They picked an amazing hair guy, Jedrick Wills Jr.
His hair looking fine.
Oh yeah.
He's an offensive tackle out of Alabama, and I think he'll slot in nicely at the open left tackle position to block Baker Mayfield's blind side and hopefully cut down on some sacks.
We're looking at a really big dude here, straight out of Alabama. Like, he 6'4", 312 pounds. We got a man that's not going to let anyone come tackle his quarterback, and that's what they needed here.
I'm also intrigued with their second-round pick, the safety Grant Delpit from LSU, because there were not any safeties taken in the first round of the draft. So they're getting one of the best safeties in the draft class here in the second round.
It is true.
Moving on to the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. Yep.
They drafted with their 17th overall pick, CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma, the wide receiver. I honestly think he's the best wide receiver in this draft class, but they got him 17th overall, and Dak Prescott is going to love him.
For sure. Alright. They also got a QB backup in the 7th round in Ben DiNucci. Not know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. But it's interesting. It looks like they're planning for the future in case anything happens.
I don't think he'll be of any value in the future. No offense to him, but
what do you look at?
Yeah.
He's from James Madison College. I think
yeah, that's not a college well known for producing NFL talent.
barely D1 school.
Yeah. He's a Pitt transfer.
That makes it better, but still.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Denver Broncos. With these
Okay,
first,
so the
Sorry, you were
Broncos picked
talking.
Jerry Jeudy in the first round.
yeah, I noticed with these first two picks, they went wide receiver, and they got some explosive ones, and Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler.
They also got Tyree Cleveland in the 7th round.
Yep, so they were stocking up on wide receivers, which I think was they were their top need.
Yes.
Yep, Drew Lock some weapons.
Really good player.
Next up, the Detroit Lions. 3rd overall pick in the draft, they got Jeff Okudah, the cornerback out of Ohio State. Easily the best cornerback in this draft class, and he's the highest cornerback taken since 1997.
I'm liking the DeAndre Swift pick from Georgia. Maybe the best running back in the draft. Maybe not, but he just maybe one of the. No, excuse me. He is the best running back other than J.K. Dobbins, but he's just so good with Georgia's offense, and I think he would go really well with the Lions' struggling offense last season.
Yeah, he ripped off several 70 touchdown yard runs. I'm also looking at their 5th round pick, Quintez Cephas, the wide receiver from Wisconsin, because Jeff Okudah noted that he was the best wide receiver he ever matched up with, and that's saying something from the 3rd overall pick in the draft class. The Lions got him in the 5th round.
Not two on the same team. Lions might be doing some damage.
Next up, the Green Bay Packers. This was probably one of the most controversial picks in the draft.
One that is likely going to upset Aaron Rodgers.
I'm not sure, because Jordan Love did say Aaron Rodgers sent a message to him congratulating him after he got drafted. But that's the pick we're talking about. Quarterback Jordan Love out of Utah State. The Packers traded up to draft him with a 26th overall pick, which is interesting because Aaron Rodgers, their franchise quarterback, is on contract until after 2024.
And if this guy can
This is
peak in the
very similar to a past situation. Sorry, Drew. Go ahead.
If this guy peaks in the NFL when Aaron Rodgers is getting too old, he might come in the perfect time for the Packers when they need a good quarterback. So I'll keep him in the back of your mind.
I will say not many of the guys the Packers drafted are very recognizable, as they had 3 6th-round picks and 2 7th-round picks.
Yep. The Jordan Love pick was very similar to the Brett Favre pick, though.
Yeah, well, no, not
Picking
the
Aaron Rodgers
Rodgers.
when they had Brett Favre. Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, the Texans. He only had 5 picks in this class. Or this draft, sorry.
Nothing sticks out to me too much here. There were a lot of wide receivers picked in this draft, and they picked one up for themselves in the 5th round.
Isaiah Coulter out of Rhode Island. But I do like their second round pick, eighth in the second round, which was their highest pick in this draft. Ross Blacklock, a defensive tackle from TCU. He can be pretty disruptive, and he was one of the top defensive tackles in this draft class, probably behind Derek Brown and one more that I can't think of at the moment.
Yep, they filled 3 of their 5 needs, and didn't need to add too much considering they finished 10-6 last season.
Yep, I'm not necessarily liking their 3rd and 4th round, maybe even 5th round picks. I wouldn't give them fantastic grades because, I mean, they picked good players, but not really the best. And I understand the trading, but I don't think they did a fantastic job this draft.
Next up, the Colts, who pulled a lot of trades in this draft. One was, this is a previous trade, but with their highest pick, second one in the second round, they got the wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. from USC.
They definitely were trying to build on offense with Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin 7 picks later.
I like that pick for him. I like that pick for him, for the Colts, but like most other people, I am concerned about Jonathan Taylor's college workload. A lot of wear and tear on those legs.
But we can't put aside the fact how good of a player Jonathan Taylor is. Exceedingly good running back from Wisconsin. And he's just kind of small, but I wouldn't put that past him because he's just a phenomenal player.
I will say though, one of the marks on him is he is not a very good pass-catching running back.
He is improving, so I think there's the Colts could develop him there a little bit more, but that is a weakness going into week 1 in the season.
Now the Jaguars, whose first pick was the 9th overall pick, and they got the cornerback C.J. Henderson, who we touched on briefly earlier, from Florida. He's the second best cornerback in this draft class, and they got a pretty good one after Jalen Ramsey got traded.
They got a lot of picks in this draft and covered everything from offense and defense.
They did.
Yeah, I noticed they had another first-round pick, and with that, it was 20th overall. They got Kalavan Chasen, the outside linebacker from LSU.
Here, they also picked up a wide receiver of their own, let's go Chenault Jr. from Colorado.
Yeah, I was watching his highlights, and I'm pretty impressed with him. That's a good pick.
I'm liking their defensive tackle, Davon Hamilton, in the 3rd round. He's just a big guy, 6'4", 320 pounds, and he's just a fantastic player that I think will aid their defense very well.
Drew seems to really take a liking to those big linemen.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're my favorite.
He likes those big boys.
Next up, the Chiefs, who won the Super Bowl, so they had the last pick in most of the rounds, besides the second round, which they traded up one spot, and in the 7th round, it looks like they had the 23rd pick in that round.
They selected Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is a very good running back, but is quite small.
Yeah, I was a little interested in that pick because 3 picks later, the Lions drafted DeAndre Swift, and I honestly think DeAndre Swift is the best running back in this class.
I agree.
Yep. But you can't put past the fact that Clyde Edwards-Helaire, coming from LSU, won the national championship along with #1 pick Joe Burrow.
True.
So you can't really put him down that much when he has those titles along with his name.
Yeah, the experience matters a lot.
Yeah, one concern is pass protection, but that can be developed with the Chiefs.
Alright, now we have the Chargers, who with the 6th overall pick, not much of a surprise here, drafted the quarterback Justin Herbert from Oregon to be their new starting quarterback. I did not think they could start the season with Tyrod Taylor as their starting QB.
Yeah.
And Justin Herbert has an arm. Oregon wasn't necessarily the best team, not at all the best team in college football, but they did have a phenomenal quarterback. And I'm liking the pick, even though not a lot of people would have anticipated it.
I am very surprised right now. I did not realize that the Chargers got KJ Hill in the 7th round. I thought he'd go much earlier than that. He is really fast as a wide receiver.
Yeah, that's a pretty low pick, which I was not expecting.
It looks like his highest knock is he is undersized.
It's only 6
Yeah.
foot. Not even 200.
Now the Rams, who underwent a logo change over the offseason.
I like it though.
Yeah, it looks good.
They didn't have any first round picks, but they did have 2 late second round picks. They got Cam Akers, the running back from Florida State, and Van Jefferson, the wide receiver from Florida.
They didn't go with too many big namers here, but they did just develop a lot of. They picked a lot of players that they can develop over time and covered a lot of their bases.
The pick I like the most is Jordan Fuller in the 6th round from Ohio State. He's a safety, and
Yeah.
Ohio State had 2 first-round cornerbacks and 2 safeties that got drafted in this draft, including Jordan Fuller. Their defensive backs were really good, and I think Jordan Fuller was a key part of that.
I'm also noticing how they kind of stacked up their offense with Cam Akers, I'm going to say, and Van Jefferson. We got a running back and a wide receiver. I think they're going to build on their offense more this season.
Yeah, they
They
also
also got
got.
tight end Bryson Hopkins.
Yeah, I was gonna say that he's one of the top tight ends in the draft.
Yep.
Now the Raiders, who moved from Oakland to Las Vegas.
I don't like that change. Oakland Raiders just sounds better to me.
They had 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, and Henry Ruggs III from Alabama and Damon Arnett from Ohio State.
Yeah, Damon Arnett, he paired with Jeff Okudah in the Ohio State backfield, and I think that might have helped his draft stock a little. I do think this is a reach for him, though, at 19 overall.
Yeah.
I do like the
I think
Henry
so,
Ruggs
too.
III pick from Alabama. He's just a good wide receiver. And I mean, you watch him play with catching balls from Tua. Just a phenomenal player in that aspect of the game, so I applaud that pick.
They also got 2 more wide receivers in the 3rd round, back-to-back, in Lynn Bowden Jr. and Brian Edwards from Kentucky and South Carolina.
The Dolphins had 11 picks in the draft, and I think they aced it.
For sure.
Yep.
With their 5th pick, no surprise here, they didn't have to trade up to do it, though, as they got Tua Tagovailoa, the oft-injured quarterback out of Alabama.
Surprised you pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, me too. Have you seen his full first name, though?
Yeah, good luck with that.
With their 2nd first-round pick, they drafted Austin Jackson, offensive tackle from USC, to help protect Tua.
And for their final 1st-round pick, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Anyone else want to?
No, the cornerback out of Auburn, Noah Igbino.
Noah I.
Yeah, Noah I, cornerback from Auburn, 30th overall pick in the draft. And, yeah, pairing him with Byron Jones, that's going to be pretty deadly.
And of course I like the Tua pick. I mean, who doesn't love a lefty quarterback, but he's just a very good quarterback, and that's going to aid their offense for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They picked a couple defensive ends in the 5th rounds. Jason Strobridge and Curtis Weaver.
Now, the Vikings, they had a ton of picks. They covered every area on the field.
Holy crap, that's a lot of picks.
They didn't need too much improvement because they went 10-6 last year. But
15
based on
picks in the
this,
draft.
They could be pretty deadly.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm liking some of these picks. And especially, wow, in the 7th round, they got Kenny Willekes, the defensive end from Michigan State. I think he should have gone way higher than that.
Yeah. This is a pretty loaded defensive class, and he was the 14th ranked defensive end.
And
That's
again,
kind of surprising he's that low.
again, looking at an LSU offensive player, Justin Jefferson, late in the first round, that they just stole, wide receiver. Just a really good player again with the national championship win, and just under Joe Burrow. It's a good addition to the team.
I saw a lot of SEC players go in the first round.
For sure.
Yeah, LSU set a record with 14 players drafted from them.
Wow.
Next up, we have the Patriots. How are they going to move on without Tom Brady? Well, let's find out by dissecting their draft class.
The thing that jumps out to me is they did not draft a QB.
They didn't. Oh wow, I didn't realize that. I guess they're going to start Brian Hoyer week 1.
I believe they did pick up a free
Tight
agent.
ends.
I believe they picked up a free agent quarterback.
Yeah, that was Brian Hoyer. They had Jared Stidham on the roster they drafted last year, and I think Bill Belichick's pretty high on him. They think he's going to develop well, but I don't think you want to start the season with him.
And they grabbed 2 tight ends, if you know what I'm talking about there.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting because last year they didn't have Gronk, and I think they realized that to make the Patriots offense run well, they need to have a good tight end.
And sick. Yeah, the Patriots signed Brian
Lewerke?
agency. Lewerke, yeah.
Oh yes, he was the Michigan State quarterback. I wasn't too impressed with him, to be honest, but I think he could compete for the backup QB job.
Yeah.
Next up, New Orleans Saints. Only four picks. Yeah.
Dang.
And I see they
2 of
snagged,
which were in the third rounds.
they snagged big man Cesar Ruiz from Michigan, the center. This might be my favorite big man of them all. He just built like a rock, and he throws the rock through his legs. Shea Patterson, he's just a great player in that aspect, so it's just a great pick.
Wow.
Don't see a lot of centers going first rounds.
No, not at all.
So they must
But
be
he
pretty
is
high
That
on him.
just speaks to his skill. I also see Zach Bond from Wisconsin in the third round. He's 6'2", 238 pounds, and he's the second rated player for his
I like him.
position, so it's pretty surprising he's third round.
We're nearing the end with only 9 teams left. Now the New York Giants. With the 4th overall pick in the draft, they snagged offensive tackle Andrew Thomas from Georgia. They really want to protect Daniel Jones now, and I think he's the guy that can do that.
This was maybe a surprising pick with the 4th overall pick going to a player. I mean, not that he's a bad player, but not a lot of people would have expected an offensive tackle from Georgia.
Well, I think it was expected that they would draft a tackle, but not this one. There were other ones I think might be better than him, like Tristan Wirfs and Jedrick Wills.
But they have their reasoning, so.
Then again, you can look at Georgia, being the SEC, got some of the hardest competition in college football.
True.
Next up, the Giants' counterpart, New York, the Jets. They also went with an offensive tackle with their first pick. 11th overall got Mekhi Becton from Louisville.
He's a big boy. 6'7", 364 pounds from straight out of Louisville. Second best defensive tackle according to ESPN. And he's fast. If you watch him run, his time in the combine, ooh, that's a fast boy and a big boy too. So I applaud that pick.
I like their value pick here, Bryce Hall from Virginia, the cornerback in the 5th round. Again, this is a deep cornerback draft class, and I think Bryce Hall is going to compete for a job in New York.
I also like Denzel Mims in the second round, late second round. This is a pretty deep wide receiver class, and so that's kind of a steal that late.
Alright, on to the Eagles. They got Jalen Reagor with the 21st overall pick, the speedy wide receiver from TCU. But the most interesting thing in this Eagles draft class, they drafted the quarterback Jalen Hurts out of Oklahoma with their 2nd round pick. which Carson Wentz probably did not like that.
Gunning for his career.
But I'm liking that because Jalen Hurts is a two-way quarterback. He can run, he can pass, and he has a good personality too. So I think that's a good pick for Philadelphia.
He's a very
I'm seeing a
athletic
lot of wide
quarterback.
receivers in here as well. Just a loaded wide receiver class.
For sure.
Now up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. And their first pick in this draft was a second rounder. They got Chase Claypool, the wide receiver from Notre Dame.
I like that pick. I mean,
That's a pretty
very
good
good
pick.
wide receiver.
He's drawing
Had a
comparisons to
good-
DK Metcalf.
He had a good season with Notre Dame, so I think final season he will fit well with the Steelers.
Yeah. And he's built almost identically to DK Metcalf, who did great for the Seahawks last season. Also a second round pick.
I like their pick in the fourth round of the running back Anthony McFarland Jr. from Maryland. Now with the Seahawks, Andrew, you want to introduce their draft class?
Yes. So they picked in the first round Jordan Brooks from Texas Tech, which is kind of a controversial pick. It's not the player a lot of them were expecting them to draft. A lot were expecting Yeturgis Meadows.
Yeah, I think that was really high for Jordan Brooks.
Oh yeah. He
ESPN
was ranked 92nd overall.
sixth best in his position.
Yeah, I don't think that was a very good pick for the Seahawks. Now on to the 49ers. Drew, you want to lead this one off?
Sure. For San Francisco, I see that they took Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina, a defensive tackle. He's just another big man. One of my favorites. And he will just be perfect for their defense, and it will help them up their game, definitely.
Yeah, especially since they traded to the Colts to Forrest Buckner.
Yeah. I also like their second first round pick in Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State. He's smaller, but he's fast.
Now with our third to last team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One of their main priorities was protecting their new quarterback, Tom Brady, and they did that with the 13th overall pick in the draft, drafting offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs from Iowa.
They also continue to build their offense with 2 running backs and a wide receiver.
Yeah, I think their offense is going to be pretty explosive next year, especially since they picked up Rob Gronkowski.
Yep.
I'm looking at Tristan Wirfs, and I don't think he didn't peak in college football, so I think he's going to be a phenomenal player in the NFL. Just a really good offensive tackle. I don't think many defensive players are going to get past him to their prized new
I
quarterback.
think he's going to turn a lot of heads.
He was my top-ranked tackle in this class. Now the Tennessee Titans. They had the 29th overall pick in this draft, and they drafted another offensive tackle, Isaiah Wilson from Georgia.
I'm seeing a lot of offensive tackles and wide receivers.
The offensive tackle class is very good.
I think their 7th round pick of the quarterback Cole McDonald from Hawaii is pretty underrated. I think Cole McDonald, in this kind of weak quarterback class, to be honest, I think he could be a pleasant surprise.
He's got nice hair.
Yep.
What is it with you and big bodies and hair?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I do like the Isaiah Wilson pick, though. He is another big man, as you could assume, but he's just another phenomenal offensive tackle who isn't going to let him get to their quarterback, so I just really like that pick.
Now with our last team, the Washington Redskins. Drew, I know you like Ohio State, so you want to leave this one off?
Oh yeah, the Redskins picked up maybe the best, if not the best, player in this draft. The 2nd overall pick, Chase Young from Ohio State. He's big. He's not that big though, but just an insane defensive player.
He's so speedy, watching his highlights just blows by everyone.
Yeah, Heisman candidate. You don't see a lot of defensive Heisman candidates, but Chase Young was up in the running for that.
16 and a half sacks, 14 games.
He's so good.
I also like the third round pick of the wide receiver Antonio Gibson out of Memphis. I think in this really deep wide receiver class, he's going to be pretty good for them.
I'm also looking at their second overall pick from the 4th round. We got Sadiq Charles, an offensive tackle from LSU. And here we go again with LSU players. Won the national championship, and we're talking about an offensive tackle.
To wrap up this section about the NFL, in news we forgot to include in the news update, quarterback Jameis Winston, who the Buccaneers did not re-sign, is nearing an agreement with the New Orleans Saints, where he's going to compete to be Drew Brees' backup. Now for our special segment, we're going to do sports trivia. We're going to take turns saying a question about sports history, and we're going to give you 10 seconds to answer. Then we'll say the answer. Ready? Our first one. How many total minutes of action are there in an average MLB game? 10 seconds starts now. Time is up. There are 18 minutes in an average MLB game.
Question 2. Who was the first player drafted in the NFL draft in 1936? That was the first one. You have 10 seconds now. And time is up. Hopefully you said Jay Burwagner. He was drafted by Philadelphia, but his rights were sold to the Bears coach. His asking price was too high, so he never actually signed the contract. Instead, he worked as a foam rubber salesman.
Predictable.
Number 3. Where were the Oakland Athletics originally located? 10 seconds starts now. Time is up. The answer is Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Athletics were the first team. Well, not the first team, but before the Oakland Athletics.
Question 4. In what country was NBA star Kyrie Irving born? 10 seconds. Alright, the correct answer is Kyrie was born in Australia.
Question 5. What Motown singer tried out for the Detroit Lions in 1970? 10 seconds. Hopefully you said Marvin Gaye, because that is the correct answer. He put on 30 pounds and trained with tight end Charlie Sanders. He didn't make the cut. Fun fact, he remained close to some of the players who sing background vocals on the 1971 song, What's Going On?
Alright, question 6, final question. Which basketball player was Michael Jordan nicknamed after as a young high school basketball enthusiast? 10 seconds. There's 10 seconds. Michael Jordan was nicknamed Magic after the legendary Lakers point guard Magic Johnson.
That is all for now, so thanks for listening to this episode of Sportsified.
And be sure to check out our website at sportsifiednews.wixsite.com/home.